I'm going to use 3 of these little wood trays from the Dollar Tree. I got the ones with the star cutouts because, of course, 4th of July. And I thought we could do a really fun coastal book stack for 4th of July. So using these because they're larger than what you're normally going to see with a Dollar Tree DIY book stack. Now I'm using that same agave color of blue for my red, white, and blue. We're going to do a red book, a white book, and a blue book. And they're going to be books because I'm just going to kind of display them upside down like that. And so I just paint the sides of this one agave with that chalk paint. I don't really have to cover the top because it is going to be a book stack. And so you're not going to be able to see it. But I did kind of just go around the edges so that if they shifted a little bit, you'd be able to still see the blue. Now on to the next tray, I'm going to use white chalk paint and we're going to go over that one the same way. Now, if you can't find the little wood trays with the star cutouts, you could use any of them. You could use the ones with just the slats on the side. But again, 4th of July, so I was looking for stars. So try to get 3 of these with the little star cutouts. Shouldn't be too hard to find. It's a pretty basic item at Dollar Tree. And I do the same thing. I paint all 4 sides and then just around the edges on the white book. Now for the third one, I want to paint it red, but I also want to paint it to look like an American flag. So I'm going to use some painter's tape here at the top, and we are going to go ahead and just mark off a little corner there. That's where going to be the star part of our flag will be. Just going to go ahead and block that off so we don't get any paint on that. And then I'm just going to go in and start painting this book red. So I just start with the 4 sides. We're going to paint those red. And this is that crimson chalk paint, nice bright red color. And then I go over the entire top because I blocked off that one area that I want to leave for the flag. But I thought I'd go ahead and get the red on there for the red stripes of the flag. Now for those red stripes, I just went in and dried the top of that top book stack. And I'm going to use some of the skinnier painter's tape because I just kind of wanted more stripes on this than to use the thicker Dollar Tree painter's tape. And so I'm just going to kind of space those out. I'm trying to determine where my stripe needs to be. I want my top stripe or my bottom stripe to be red to kind of blend in with the side of the book. And so I kind of space mine out exactly how I want that to be. Kind of want red on the bottom, red on the top. So that's how I mapped that out with the stripes. So we're going to have 3 white stripes in between. So I go in with that white chalk paint and we're going to paint those stripes on. Now, since the top book is going to be exposed, I thought it would be really cute for the cover just to have a simple little flag pattern. And I think this turned out really cute. Now, I definitely probably needed to use the white chalk paint to cover that bright red, but I do go over it with a couple of coats to kind of mask that because covering red is usually not too easy. But I think that looks pretty good. I can't really see the red shining through that anymore. So we're going to give that a quick dry and remove our painter's tape. Luckily, these lines are way smoother on the wood than they were on the foam. And they turned out really nicely. So just making sure it is dry enough. You have to get it mostly dry before you remove the tape. But you don't want it to stick either. So that looks pretty good. Now we can go ahead and take off the little square here that we left for the top of the flag. Take off the tape there as well. And make sure the area right around the square is good and dry so we can use painter's tape there as well to protect the red and the white striped areas now so we can paint the little blue part of our flag. I also tape off the sides just to make sure. And for the blue, again, I'm using that agave color. I love doing your own kind of color scheme, making things coastal and beachy. It's always fun. So I paint that part, that light blue. And then we'll also add stars to our little flag as well. So that looks pretty good. We're going to go ahead and remove all of that painter's tape. And definitely the cutest book of them all. Now, you know me, I don't want just a star. I want starfish. And so I had some of these little sea creatures stencils from the Dollar Tree with a little starfish. And so I'm going to paint my little white like stars on there as starfish. But honestly, I don't think you're going to be able to tell. You can kind of even draw a star on there with white paint pen. It's going to look really similar. But I was going for it. I was going for my coastal theme here. So I used my stencil and I could get about 4 starfish on here. As you can see, the stencil, not perfect. I am getting a little bit of paint on there in areas I don't want to, trying to clean those up with a baby wipe as I go. Of course, I always distress everything, so not too worried about it at this point. But I think 4 stars is all we're going to be able to fit on this one. And that's how I want to stack them. The red flag one on top, the white one, and then the blue one. Of course, distressing. So I'm going to distress mine a couple ways. I go in there with some ivory chalk paint, kind of distress all over to give that coastal farmhouse vibe, wiping off the excess with a baby wipe. But I'm also going to go in there and distress it with some Antique Wax by Waverly to kind of give it some more character and make it kind of look old as well. I tried to heavily distress 3 sides to make them kind of look kind of like book pages, if you will. More so than it's going to be the binding on this side where we'll add some words. So once I get the ivory, again, I go over it with some Antique Wax by Waverly, kind of going over all of the sides and corners, just giving it a light distress. I do go in there to kind of make it kind of look a little bit like it's got book covers with the original color, just to give it a little bit more character too. We're going to do the same thing here with the blue one. It's going to be easier because we really just have to distress the sides. So I distress 3 sides heavy for like book pages and use the Antique Wax by Waverly, heavier on those as well. Kind of giving, you know, a pattern that there's pages in there. And then going on with my original color to make it look like there is a cover. Now, the distressing with the ivory on the white is not going to be real obvious, but you're definitely going to be able to see the Antique Wax by Waverly more. So I distress that heavily on 3 sides. And I wipe off the excess with a baby wipe. Kind of giving me those pages. And then I go around the edges again, kind of making them white again, to try to make it look like a book. Just a little detail I thought would be fun for this book stack. Now it's time to break out the Cricut. So I kind of measure how big these are, and we're going to cut out some vinyl to go over them. I also want to tie them together, and I thought some of this red like zigzag stripe and burlap ribbon from the Dollar Tree would be really cute to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that down to size and kind of gather them together with this. Kind of doing this step first before my vinyl so I can kind of see exactly how much room I have left for letters for the side of my little books. And I'm just going to hot glue that ribbon to itself there on the bottom. And that is going to keep the whole project together and make them look like they're tied up. But I do really want them to have like a tied up feel. So I'm not just going to use that ribbon. I'm also going to use some of that thin Dollar Tree twine. And we're just going to wrap those around that as well, just to give a little bit more character to that. Kind of like that. So I'm just wrapping them around, kind of giving it a bundled feel until I'm happy with it. And then we can tie this off. I decided to tie it right here where you can see it, right here in the front. And I just knot it and then just simply like tie a little bow on there just for a little bit of character. I also have some of those clothespins from the Shore Living line, so I thought that would be fun to decorate it with too. So one of the little wood seahorses, and I can just simply clip that over my bow here. Just a little coastal touch to this. Now we have the coastal colors, so now I wanted a coastal saying on the side of the book. So I'm going to use my Cricut and some vinyl, and we're just going to cut out letters for this. I chose to do white for the red and the blue book. And I'm going to have it say from sea to shining sea, because of course that's patriotic, but of course it's also coastal. Sometimes with the skinny font, which is what I'm using, I downloaded that font on defont.com. It can be a little bit challenging to read, but I think we can make it work. I'm going to have it say from sea on the top book, and then sea on the bottom book, and then to shining. I did that in red, and I actually used Dollar Tree vinyl on that. I was a little worried, but we got it to work here. And again, I just used the skinny font for that, just measuring it so that it would fit exactly on the side of the books. And I'm using that paper transfer paper. I get that on Amazon. That's always available in my shop below. I love it. It is my favorite transfer paper for vinyl, especially for a lettering like this. So we're going to start with the middle book first. I kind of want to align everything to the left. So I'm going to put to shining here. Definitely had to do the red, so we have the contrast against the white book. And then we can go ahead and decorate the little sides of the other two books. I don't know, that red one was, this one was really fighting me on the letters, but I was able to salvage it and get them all on there. And I love it. I love that font. It's very similar to the Ray Dunn font. And I use that a lot in my home. So there it is. We have our little patriotic and coastal book stack. I think it is so much fun. I love the little flag on top and the little coastal touches, like the little seahorse, the from sea to shining sea.